Hello and welcome everyone to A Vision of Angels and our very first live stream on Facebook. Gosh, we're excited. It's been a bit manic behind the scenes for me personally, not knowing what I was doing. But it's a really good reminder and a really good opportunity to go ahead, as we were saying a little bit earlier between the three of us, just to feel that fear, jump in, do it anyway, and learn along the way, which is what we're doing right here. And really, it's a great introduction for A Vision of Angels because it's about trust, learning how to trust the angels, and that if we continue to just proceed, everything unfolds. I'm Anaya Joy Halili. I'm the founder of Angel Heart Radio and, of course, one of the hosts here on A Vision of Angels. Carol, my other beautiful host, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, Anaya. So I'm Carol Ann Cross, and I'm really blessed to be the co-host of A Vision of Angels, and I love working with the angels, and I absolutely love working with Anaya and our beautiful guests. I'm just truly blessed to be here today.
Thanks, Carol. And Carol's website is carolsangelwings.com, and mine, angellight777.com. All the catch-ups, everything's there. Now, Amy Seiter, how beautiful to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a wonderful process for us, hasn't it? Talking about your vision of angels, how you work with the angels, and what you can share with everyone on today's show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on and inviting me to join this amazing conversation. I'm just overwhelmed and blessed. Thank you.
A pleasure. Amy, I remember writing to you, gosh, months ago now, and asking you how you first really started to become aware of the angels, and you really shared deeply with me what it was like for you to come into beautiful, loving contact with the angels. But before we start, I want to say that this is not about any faith or religion. We respect and support all people's faiths, every religion. This is about Amy's personal experience of one particular church that she personally experienced. So again, please, no disrespect intended, but we really do want to share Amy's story with you. Amy, what can you tell us about your story?
Well, I grew up Catholic, and we had a beautiful church. And when you're young, you fidget a lot and need something to look at. And our church had windows, beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows, and each of them had an angel in them. Now, I don't remember them having names or anything, but I remember the way the light would come through, and I would always sort of daydream about angels because they're kind of amazing and awesome. And of course, you listen in church and you hear them talking about, the angel appeared and it was this wonderful moment. And you see these, glowing halos, and you think that's just the best thing that could ever happen to anybody, right? So I grew up looking at windows and admiring them and seeing angels all around and kind of thinking, well, I'm not one of those special people. They have nothing to say to me. I'm just going to admire them and go on about my merry way and sort of feel humbled to be, are able to see representations. And slowly but surely, they would turn up more and more different. I grew up, I moved through different kinds of faith, different kinds of churches, but always there were these angels. There were always windows and always signs of angels. And, I still held that belief. The Madonna is not going to appear for me.
The chosen ones kind of thing.
I am not chosen. There's nothing special. I'm, your basic average citizen. Thank you very much. And it was never going to be a thing. And, it took many, many years for them to actually get through all of that human armor for me and speak in a way that I could hear them and feel them. And now I can't imagine them not being here. And they kind of laugh at me when they think, you're all chosen ones. Every single one of you was a chosen one. That's why we're here.
It's exactly why we're here. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been fun to kind of make a little more light of that very serious feeling of not being worthy of attention.
And that's common, isn't it? It's common. I had it.
It is.
lots of people experience that. And Carol, thanks for the message to remind me I haven't done our opening prayer. So this is a really actually, no, it works out perfectly, because doing this prayer, I think it's really wonderful that we can actually include that in our prayer, that we help us all, you know, the angels are brought it like this in such a beautiful way to help us all feel worthy and to understand, know, feel, express our own magnificence. So if you're driving, if you're listening to this on the podcast, just focus on your driving. But for everybody else, let's just have a moment in prayer, and then we'll come back, Amy, about you, and I'll come to you, Carol. So take a breath, everyone, and just place your hand on your heart. Just allow yourself to feel the beat of your heart. Every beat is an affirmation of how wonderful each and every one of us is. How loved and supported, how guided and magnificent and incredible we are. So every time you feel your heartbeat from here on in, feel anchored to this moment and to the memory and the understanding and realization of how truly, extraordinarily wonderful and loved you are. And we call in all the beautiful angels from Creator, the love and support and the guidance and wisdom. Archangel Jophiel, thank you for helping us to connect with our own individual beauty. Archangel Michael, we ask that you help us to experience the confidence and courage we need to move forward fearlessly in the love for ourselves and our fellow creatures here on earth as we walk our paths. Archangel Raphael, we ask you for help with any healing that needs to take place, any remembering that needs to take place of how truly blessed we are, how truly wonderful and beautiful and perfect we are exactly as we are right now. And we call upon you all beings from divine love, to surround us with your love and hold up mirrors to reflect how wonderful and truly unconditionally loved we are every single day of our lives, every single moment of every day. Thank you, angels. Thank you, all beautiful creations and loving lights from God. And thank you, everyone, for being present with us and going on that journey. Take a breath and just let it out and give thanks in your own way for a moment. And come back whenever you're ready. Thank you. Beautiful. I feel all of that head stuff that was going on before, just it almost fades away, doesn't it?
It just disappears.
Carol?
Well, Amy, I think it's really interesting what you were just talking about. What a wonderful description of the churches and beautiful stained glass windows. And it was wonderful, I think, when I was growing up as well, to see the stained glass windows and all of that of the churches. But it's also really wonderful when we realise that we're all the chosen ones. It doesn't mean we don't have ups and downs and bumps in our daily life, because we're in this physical incarnation in this time. But to know that we are all chosen, because we're so supported by our team of angels and archangels and everybody. And yes, it's just onwards and upwards from here as far as I'm concerned. But it's all just wonderful. We just need, as Anaya says, to recognise our magnificence. And that's one of the wonderful things.
When I was in Europe and going from country to country and going to different churches on tours and things, there were always the windows.
Yeah.
There were always angels. There were always sculptures. There were always these beautiful representations. And part of the awe of going to those places is to say, okay, somebody made these.
Mm.
Somebody had the talent and the skill and the vision to do this. And they were just people.
Yeah.
But if they could see this, then the angels must therefore have a relationship with them. And that connection started to happen to say, anybody can talk to or see angels. You just need to be open to it. And it's a very personal relationship. And then in a healing session, I was guided to call an angel into my space. And I was like, whoa. This is not AT&T. You don't just order up an agent. They don't just dial in. What is that? And I set my mind aside and I said, okay, I'm going to do what I've asked and we'll see what happens. And I thought, whatever. And I did what I was asked to do. And the next thing I knew, there was a whole other heartbeat inside my personage that was not mine.
Wow.
And it was decidedly male. And I was like, oh, what is that? And then there were colors and there were changes and there was, I don't hear the voices the way some people do. I see colors and I feel different sensations for each angel. And Archangel Michael has a heartbeat. That's how I know it's him.
Okay.
And I know the way that moves and the way the color moves that he's there and he answers my need. But it was amazing to realize this is a real thing. This is not a watercolor painting or a stained glass window.
Yeah.
This is a living, breathing relationship with an entity that is energetically connected to me right now. And it's all the time if I ask.
Yeah.
It's startling.
It's fantastic.
But it's amazing.
And so well described, like so well expressed. And it's really interesting, Amy, you're the only other person so far that I've met who has experienced an additional physical heartbeat within their being, in their body. And it happened to me once and it was kind of startling, but like you, I realized and really felt that deep sense of connection that this was an unequivocal answer for me. And it was leading me and guiding me and showing me. And I felt so incredibly safe and protected. And I think that's the thing. When you feel so loved and safe, it cannot be anything else than love.
In meditations, do you know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Reverse pregnancy. Even though Michael is coming into my entity, the enveloping makes me feel like I'm stepping into him. In that warm embrace moment, I can just be completely suspended, exactly as I am, and safe. But his energy is all around me, so it's kind of like the reverse of pregnancy.
Yeah,
that's a really interesting way of stating it. I've never thought of it in that way. I love it when we get wrapped in their wings and their arms, just hold us and support us and make us feel that energy, that beautiful unconditional love energy that they have. And because that's how I mostly know they're here, is by their energy. And they each have, like with you, Michael, is the heartbeat. So they each have their own individual way of letting me know who it is. And but no, that was a wonderful way of explaining it. I love that, Amy. This has been a really, really interesting.
You have that, Amy. I've noticed throughout our conversations over the last couple of years, you do have that beautiful way of expressing what you are feeling personally and bringing it out in such a way that really invites me to reflect upon it for myself as well. So
thank you.
That's really beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
It's resulted in some really great conversations over the last couple of years, hasn't it?
It really has. And that's the thing I really love about working with the angels, but I love about what we're doing here on A Vision of Angels, because we're having conversations. What does it mean for you? What does it mean for me, Carol, and all of our other wonderful guests? And everyone, you can catch all of the catch-ups on angellight777.com. That's your go-to basically for everything to do with Angel Heart Radio. And it helps me. I'm excited about it because it gives me the opportunity to help bring other people's stories out into the world as well. You know, there are so many people, so many stories. And like you were saying earlier, when you looked at those windows or those statues, someone created that for you.
Right.
Someone had that personal relationship with what they were creating.
Right.
And here it is all this time later. And it's like that echo, love, that love just echoes and echoes the angels have shown me. And back in the days where my life was felt very, very dim indeed, when I really first started to understand what it meant to consciously connect with the angels for me personally, they showed me that every little bit of love, it not only lingers, it echoes, it grows, and it looks for other love as well. And it magnetizes it. And we are creating this amazing, it's more than an ocean of love. It's extraordinary. And every drop matters. Every kind word, every kind deed, every, self bit of care and love we give ourselves, that all matters. And don't underestimate it. So, if you're watching this or listening to this and you've given someone a helping hand in some small way, perhaps you've just sent some love and light to someone. It matters, makes a difference, and you're creating something far more amazing than you have any understanding of at this time.
Yeah. It certainly is. It just multiplies. And I think even when we do little simple things like smiling at someone as you walk down the road and they smile back at you, and they instantly light up because it might be the only smile that they've received all day long, and it doesn't matter. So because it's so easy to just share that, and to me that's part of being like a lighthouse. You're shining your light for people to see and to know. And this morning, I have to say, Amy, you are just beaming. You are just glowing, and it's wonderful. It's really great. And just a little quick thing. I can remember when we were in, I think it was in Florence, and we were going to see all the statues that, now his name's just disappeared out of my head, who carved all the statues. And his way, what he said when I think that's terrible, I can't think of his name. I was there a minute ago. When he carved his statues, he said he was freeing them from the stone. And so he had that contact with the energy that he was bringing and carving out of and sculpting out of the stone, and he was freeing them from the stone. And at the time I saw it and I thought, these statues are so beautiful, to be able to carve that from a lump of stone, but he could see them within the stone. He was freeing them from the stone, so that connection was there, like the angelic connection, the spiritual connection. And that really, it was one of the things that really touched me when I was looking at all of the statues.
Is that Michelangelo that's
That's it. Michael's going through my head, and I'm thinking, no, Carol, you're thinking about Michael, Archangel Michael. Yeah.
When I remember going to Rome, and the one thing I wanted to see, I didn't even care about the Sistine Chapel. The one thing I wanted to see was the Pieta that he carved of Mary holding Jesus after the crucifixion. When I saw that he had managed to carve out their eyelashes individually out of marble in 1400 and some odd, or 1500 and some odd, I wept. I couldn't believe how amazing that was. And that to me was just, but all of those sculptures on any of them, the same kind of feeling of what an inspiration must have been.
That's it. That's it.
And I think it's really important too for us to remember that, yes, okay, so we're not creating these amazing sculptures, but we're creating lives. We might be raising a family or cooking a meal. And that can seem like such an ordinary job and such a thankless job and sometimes such a frustrating job. But at the end of the day, if we're, you know what I mean, Carol? It's like, oh, crikey, didn't I just clean up that mess 5 minutes ago? But it's finding, I can't remember who said it, but it's finding the love in the small things So, you know, creating that meal. But I know when I'm putting love into my food, it tastes amazing. And when I'm just going, oh, I really don't want to make this, and I'm putting things together and I'm doing exactly the same things, but the love's not there, it's never right. And I bet you guys have had that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing
The
small
happiest.
things with great love elevates
Yeah.
that energy in such a way,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely.
So that's why I love this question. What's your vision of angels, Amy? How do you relate to the angels? How did you decide to really take that into your heart, that understanding and knowledge and wisdom, to allow yourself to express your wisdom and your love in the world with the angels?
You know, it was during that time when the healing I was working on was really trying to push through that space we all go through that says, I'm never going to be enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be enough. And no matter how many people tell you that, you know, oh, you're this, you're that, you're so worthy, you're so this, you're so that, if you don't feel it, you don't see it, you can't project it. You can't bring it out of yourself.
And
so when you talk about
like
creating those small moments, you know, you talk about creating those small moments. Somebody was able to take me to a small moment where connecting with an angelic presence turned the mirror around.
Yeah.
So that what they see when they see me was there. And I was forced to look at it, which when somebody's telling you you're wonderful and you don't feel wonderful, is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But when somebody says, practice this, look at the mirror. And then you realize that as you do it for yourself, you in turn, when you turn around, you project it back out.
Yeah.
So you're able to hold that mirror for other people.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was like, oh, if I'm going to listen to the angels and they're going to guide my actions towards myself, they in turn will go through me. And I can do the same for other people.
Yeah.
And advocating for other people is a huge part of my life. So to be able to go, oh, the connection. We're so connected. We're one energy. And it literally goes, God, angels, me, other people, the rest of the universe. And back up and back out. And the ripple spreads. And it's still the same ocean. It's still the same water. It's still the same energy. But there's no break in it now. There's no choppiness. It's just, oh, I see it. And so to allow them to be I felt silly for being stubborn for a little while. I thought, ooh, I've been denying this for so long, and I felt guilt and shame and all these, negative things. And in communication, it was like, no. The whole point was now you can turn that around and light the flame for other people and keep your own burning and know that you're perfectly safe and you're perfectly loved. And it doesn't matter if you burned your mac and cheese today. And it doesn't matter if you ran that red light. And it doesn't matter if your hair is a mess and your mascara is running and you had a fight with your child today. It doesn't matter. That love is still perfect, and you can still channel it right back out.
Yeah.
And keep that connection all the time.
Yeah. And the fact that you had all that guilt and shame, because I've come from something very similar from what I'm hearing you say, it actually is very valuable, because people know when you get them. People know when you understand, because you've experienced yourself. It's a very different process to something that you may have read and passed on.
It is.
So having that connection is such a powerful thing. And like you, for so long, I felt just broken. completely unlovable, totally unworthy.
Yes, ma'am.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, so we get each other. Having that experience was actually very, very difficult, as you know. But coming through that experience is a whole different thing, isn't it, to having it? So coming through that experience, and the first time the angel said to me, remember your magnificence, I felt so ashamed, because how could they say that to me, one who was so unworthy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? And then coming through that, and they just kept loving me, and they just kept saying, remember your magnificence, remember your magnificence. And I started to see, oh my, like you, oh my God, if they can see it in me, it must exist.
Right.
It's my choice whether I choose to go forward and find ways to see it in myself
Right.
or not.
Right.
And it's so amazing, isn't it, Amy? It's so amazing. When you just make that decision, you make that choice, and you take that risk, because it's a risk. Because if you let yourself feel too loved, I'll cancel that. If I let myself feel too loved, I was really scared about what was going to happen if it was taken away, or it turned out not to be true, and everything that I'd always believed about myself was really true.
Yeah.
But I took the risk. I jumped off that high wire, and I flew into my own freedom. Nobody else saved me. I flew by choice into my freedom.
It's very empowering.
It's just moment by moment, isn't it? It's not a, let's go do this course and I'm going to be right. Let's go to this healer and I'm going to be right. It's moment by moment.
Yeah.
Walking in faith, crying when you need to. Carol, you know exactly what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Because life can feel extremely difficult at times, and so incredibly painful and cruel even. But when we step out of that and say, just maybe even ask that question, what if this is to serve me instead of to hurt me?
Right.
What can I learn from it? How can I go forward with this? Boom, everything changes.
Asking that one question makes a big difference. That what if?
Yep.
That's the biggest question. What if?
Yep. Carol?
Yeah, and you know, you know my story, but I found after sort of coming through all the torment after my daughter passed away, I then took a lot. It took a lot for me to believe and trust in who I was, and then I'd go through. Well, who would want to listen to me? What do I know? I'm just an ordinary human being. And then even when I started teaching angel workshops and meditation, I still didn't have that trust and belief in myself fully, because I just wanted to stay below the radar, just toddle along. And for many years, that's where I was. I was just toddling along, doing workshops, doing everything, living a human life, staying below the radar. And then somebody spoke to me and said, would you like to come and host a Vision of Angels with me? And that was only in March of this year. And I had to put my head up above everything. And with trust, belief, and a bit of, can you really do this, Carol? Yes, you can, Carol. So step out there and do it. And a whole other world has opened up for me. And I just want to grab it all, and I want to live it all, and I want to enjoy it all, and I want to do as much as I can, and I'm excited about it all.
Okay, so Carol, for people who don't, maybe this is the first time they've seen you.
Yeah.
Because that was a big step for Carol, really big step. So what made you say yes?
Well, and that's interesting, because Anaya just leaned across the table at the restaurant and asked me the question. And without hesitation, I said, yes, if I do it with you, I will do it. I did it because in my heart, I knew it was time for me to start really living my spiritual life as well. Because I've known about angels and spirits since I was a little tiny girl. My mother was an amazing tarot reader and clairvoyant, and so I grew up with this, and I trusted all this. But then when my eldest daughter passed away when she was 6 years old, I just went against everything I'd learned. If there was a God, he wouldn't do this to a child. And it wasn't about me. I felt guilty because I believed I allowed it to happen, which is really ridiculous when I look back on that later. But I sort of turned against all of that I knew. And so then it was a real struggle coming back to a spiritual life. And that only happened because Danielle actually came to me during the night. And that's a part of my story that's on the website. But as soon as she touched my hand, I immediately went warm and I could feel her energy. And she started to work with me from the other side. And so I trusted all of that. But I still sort of just kept going along. But when Anaya talked to me at the restaurant and asked me to come on a Vision of Angels, my heart, my soul, my spiritual self, everything knew it was time. And, you know, I just had to take that step. I'd been knowing for a while that I was going to be asked to step out into the void, that I would be caught, but I had to make that step. And that's what I did that day when I said yes. I had to make that step. So I made the step and I was caught. And now it's just, it doesn't mean it doesn't have its ups and downs and hiccups, but that's the human life we're living. And, you know, we have to balance our human physical life and our spiritual life. And sometimes that's a little bit difficult, but the angels will help us to get through that. And I'm just so blessed to be where I am now, and I'm just loving it, loving it, loving it.
That's just beautiful. That's beautiful. And Amy, it kind of reminds me as well of the little steps. I mean, they were major steps that you were talking about with Danielle making her crossing when she was only 6 years old. I mean, I'm a parent. I cannot imagine what you and Barry went through, and Lisa too. I can't imagine it. But Amy, when we first got on this morning, everyone, you don't know this, but Amy was set up in a different room. She had beautiful light fixtures. It was all gorgeous. The lighting was amazing, but unexpected visitors arrived. So Amy took those steps. She made those choices to say, what can I do? Because I need to be hardwired. And then you obviously realized, oh, hang on a second, there's another way to go to a new room in a nice quiet location. So sometimes what begins a certain way, it can be very easy to say, oh, it must be meant to be or whatever. Well, hang on a second. Maybe there's something we can do here. Angels, what do you reckon? What's your help here? And I sent a message earlier, everyone. It was so funny. I sent a message to Amy, and I meant to say gatekeeper, and I said the gatekeeper. And what that really reminded me was, I don't know whether, I mean, if you're not as old as me, you may not remember, but the word gay is such a beautiful word because it signifies happiness and joy. So as soon as you said you said they were gatekeepers, I realized they were keeping the joy for us today. They were helping us to keep the happiness and the lightness when there's technical stuff going on. And you know what I mean? For me, it's very easy to get, oh, crikey, what do I do? So Amy, so thank you for that, because you took those steps to expand what the experience could be, which is what you're doing in your everyday life, isn't it?
Trying. It's the practice I try to do. Can't say that it always works. I can't say that I'm always listening. But you
do it. You give it a go, don't you?
Oh yeah. But I mean, you know, I'm a stubborn Irish redhead, for heaven's sake. I'm sassy, and very often the ton of bricks needs to fall a couple times before I realize, oh, I'm not walking my walk. Sorry. It happens. So got it.
So do you have someone in your life, you know, like when just looking at your regular everyday life, when you have communication with people, how do you go about exactly that? walking your walk and ensuring that where you are channeling your energy, i.e. whatever it is you're doing, experiencing, you keep coming back to choosing, how do I do this with joy? How do you do that? Because it sounds easy, but it takes effort, doesn't it? It takes attention. It takes consciousness.
It does. Part of being a sassy Irish redhead is we also tend to be a little broody. We get a little dark and bendy around the edges, and I'm prone to very wild wind Yeats-like walks along the edges of my consciousness, and I will ponder and brood. But I have people in my life right now. It's interesting. The last 10 years of my life has really been about cutting away.
Mm-hmm.
People have been leaving my life.
Yeah.
And there are very few people who are regularly in my life right now. And that's been very hard for me to adjust to be okay with, to feel safe with. And so it's a regular need for me to address the angels and say, I need you here. I need you around, because people are not. And it's really kind of a scary thing. And it challenges that self-worth talk again. You kind of hear those little tapes starting up again. And I say, no, remember the mirror. You're okay. But the people who are in my life, they're there. And I almost know the reasons for some of them.
Yeah.
And in interacting with them, I mean, I start every day with a thoughtful moment of, okay, guys, I know my regular angelic crew, and I address them and say, okay, walk with me today. Let the words I speak convey the message that someone needs to hear correctly. Let me hear and listen before I speak. Let the work of my hands have purpose that's guided to help others and uplift humanity and not drag it down. Let the images I see and the words that I speak reflect the truth of my heart and not of my ego. And whichever angels are in charge of those things, here's me. I need you. So, and off we go into the day. And then if I'm with someone and I see that they have a need, there are often times when I'm talking to these people in my life and the specific angel is over here saying, tell him to talk to me. Tell him. And I'll say, if you're a praying sort, have a conversation with this archangel and I'll tell you why, and I'll send you a little blurb. And it will help. If you want to talk about that, that's fine. And if you can't, I will hold that space with that angel for you. So if you need confirmation that angel is with you, talk to me and I will confirm for you that you're safe and it's okay. And sometimes I get sidelong glances and she's on a bender again. And sometimes I get curiosity and sometimes I just get that deep exhale of thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for holding that space. And that confirms for me that my prayer of the morning is in fact in work, and I am doing what I'm meant to do that day.
Yeah. And that's a powerful thing. And it comes back to, for me, Amy, I can remember, oh gosh, this must be maybe 15, 16, 17 years ago now. It's a while ago. I can remember when people used to say, and what do you do, Anaya? And I never knew what to say. And one day I hear them, but it's a voiceless voice. And it's a particular type of voice that I hear. If you don't hear voices, don't worry about it. You may get an impression, like Amy, you may have colours, whatever it is. You'll know your own way. And if you don't, be willing to learn it because it's there. And I heard them say, it's time. Tell them what you do. And that's like, oh my God. So I bravely said, actually, I work with the angelic realms. And they said to me, oh, I'm so interested in that. What can you tell me about it? And I was fully expecting them to say, huh? Or,
I was going to ask you.
You know? But it really helped me to see that relying on other people's approval was never going to get me anywhere, and it never got me anywhere my whole life, and it's what I've been doing, you know what I mean? It was time to start seeking my own brand of what feels right for me. Does this feel right for me? And it didn't feel right for me not to say anymore. Like you, Carol. Amy?
Right. And the way you both share it, because you're being most authentically and genuinely yourselves, is how other people receive it.
Mm.
It's not manufactured. It's not contrived. It's not whittled away to fit into anybody's convenient boxes. It's your truth. It's genuine and pure. And because of that, it goes right to people's hearts. And that's how it spreads. It's just genuine and pure love coming out the way it was intended. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one of the things that I find is interesting nowadays when people ask me, you know, what do you do, Carol? And I talk to them about it. And people who have never, ever been interested in anything or anything to do with the angelic or the spiritual world or anything, are starting to ask questions. And I think that's exciting, because to me that means that more and more people are starting to accept and want to know more. And so that's helping the ripple effect to get out there. And the more people who are asking questions and things like that, it's just so exciting, because you know what we need throughout the whole world is unconditional love. And the more that we can get that unconditional love out there, whether it's them accepting, you know, that I work with the angels and I do the radio and I do those other things, well, that doesn't really matter. It's about getting the love out there and to let them know that they are loved and they are special, because so many people are walking around and wondering, what am I doing here? You know, life is not happy. Why am I in this situation? So the more love we can get out there, the better it is.
Yeah.
Lighting the candles.
Yeah.
Torch to torch.
Have you ever written a book, Amy?
Not yet. There's one in here somewhere.
I really and truly, talking to you today and the way that you express yourself, it just, I can hear the book being written as
yes.
I honestly,
the pages or flicking on the
I
phone
honestly
or whatever.
can, Amy, and I think you know that this is something that would be so many people need to hear the way you express the words and the sentences and you know, just listening to you, it's just beautiful, and to have these so that people could get out to even more people, I think would be wonderful, really wonderful.
And to see you, Amy. I know, Carol, it's true, isn't it? I mean, when you see Amy speak, there's a river you can feel just coming up through you, and it just comes out so gently and it just spreads. And it's so beautiful and calm and peaceful, but at the same time it's very powerful. So to be seen is wonderful for you. So no wonder your episode of A Vision of Angels is now and not when we were doing just it only as a podcast. Because people need to see you.
Yes, it gives it a whole other energy, for want of a better word. It's just so important that people can see you, because, you know, just as I said earlier, you're just glowing, and it's just so wonderful, and the sincerity and the love when you're speaking and talking to us, it's just being felt by everybody who's listening and watching, and I think that's just so beautiful.
Thank you. I hope so. I hope so. Cameras terrify me, so this is actually kind of nice to hear.
Join the club. They terrify me. I hate getting photos taken. I just sort of think, oh, really? So you know, this is a big step for all of us.
It is.
There's not one interview I've ever done. There's not one on-camera thing I've ever done that I haven't pulled to pieces in a million different ways. when I can't bear to hear myself as being interviewed. I just think,
Oh my gosh.
oh my God, that woman's voice, I wish she would stop talking.
Anaya, I love your voice.
But this is the thing, we have a way of not, that's when I'm in my inner self going, what is wrong with me? It's when we step out of that and say, you know what, Carol and I were recently just on this amazing summit, Enlightened Women, Enlightened You. What is the website, Carol? Could you please find it so we can direct people to it? It was such an enlightened
world. Dot online.
Thank you. Enlightenedworld.online. Go look up the summit. It's amazing. Truly life altering in so many ways. 34 women speaking on so many different topics and coming from the heart. So when we did our interviews, right? They were pre-recorded. So I did my interview, and honestly, I saw the very first interview, and it was Deb Goldberg, and it was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? She was so brilliant, and I just instantly felt I have nothing to say, nothing to share, and everything in me wanted to get in touch with Ruth and say, can you please pull my interview? I don't want you to bring it forward. And I spoke to Carol about it, and I spoke to a couple of other people about it, because I was going to keep going forward. But I was really like, I had a bit of an existential crisis, didn't I, Carol?
Yeah.
I was crying. I was like, truly, I really felt like I was going to be on display as an absolute fake.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, anxiety.
As a fraud. I was totally anxious. And of course, I realized now what was happening was it was coming up to that ceiling of where I'd previously been comfortable, and I was going through it. And I had to sit with that feeling and be okay to feel that way and cry and shred tissues and pace and think, oh my God, what are people going to say? So what I'm saying, everyone, is it's so easy when you see us all sitting here, you know, with our makeup on and our hair's all done and, you know, got backdrops or whatever. And you might think, you know, it's really easy for you. It's not. Because we're continually coming to the ceiling of what we were comfortable with and where we've been previously.
And push it up.
That's exactly right. We're elevating our energy all the time. So I kept going. And when it came time to see my interview, I was in a pretty bad way that day. I was going through some extremely personal, painful stuff. I was crying on camera, and I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with being completely authentic, you know, and being open and honest and real, and not pretending to be in a place where I wasn't. And that freed me enormously. I came out of that doing this. Right? This is how this happened, because Dr. Ruth Anderson said, Archangel Michael has a message for you, and this is what the message is. And Carol and I both took that message and said, right, the next episode we do is going to be on camera, even though we've got no clue how to do it. And it didn't work. It didn't go to Facebook. It doesn't matter. It's on YouTube. It's on our Facebook page. It's on Angel Light 777. It was fabulous. So how do you break through your ceiling when you get to that place where you go, you know what, I can't go any further? What do you do?
Before or after the ice cream? I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so ice cream is
I like that.
Ice cream's a factor, and it's a very good factor, I have to say. I can get on board with that.
I'm a little bit I'm a Cancerian, so I'm a little bit of a hermit crab. Okay. And when I know that I'm faced with something that is truly, truly terrifying, I will back off into my hermit crab shell for a while, and go to my poet place of brooding and I can't do this. There's no need for that, and rationalization, and I don't need to do that. No, there's no need for that. But if I've accepted the thing, and I know the thing is going to happen, and I'm going to have to do the thing, I go to the quotes and the memes and the things that I hear all the time is like, if it's something that excites and scares you at the same time, it's probably something you should do. the thing that scares the ever-living bejeebus out of you is probably the thing you should do.
Yeah.
And I have lived a very quiet, reactive life.
Mm-hmm.
I have lived a life in response to. Very rarely have
Sounds
I
familiar.
accepted the challenge to be proactive or self-initiating, to make noise and take up space. I've been a very good girl all of my life. And so when the things come up for me to do that scare me, they're the things that are out loud. They're the things where people will see you and hear you. And it's overcoming those things where I really dig in deep and say, my ego is going to get in the way. I'm going to put the clamp on this. So you are going to have to push me through that door. And I, usually it's Archangel Michael I ask first.
Yeah.
And say, if you've got the celestial big boots on, my butt is using a nice kick, please.
I need a little kick in the tush. Come on, Michael.
I need, put on the big army boots, the ones with the spikes. Wear those. And then Uriel, I will sit with and say, you are the illuminator of next steps.
Yeah.
So if I have to take just one step today, what is it? If it's a little thing, what bite of the cookie can I take today? And I'll try it. And so far, it's working. It's the things that you fear are just thoughts. Fear is a thought. It's a lying thought, but it's a thought. Mm. And if you listen to that thing that beats your heart, as Kyle Cease will say to you, if you sit and you listen to the thing that beats your heart and follow that, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. And
that's where the angels are.
And we are not our thoughts.
No.
We are actually not our thoughts. And when I found that out,
no.
I was gobsmacked because I always believed I was my thoughts. And
right.
It's pretty dark.
Right.
So,
right.
I'm loving this. I could just go on and on and on, but we're kind of at that point now. So, Amy.
I could talk to you all day.
I know. It's so great, isn't it? That's why I love doing a Vision of Angels like this. And we're going to do more and more like this. It's such a great way of having a conversation. That's an inspiring conversation and an inspired conversation, because we don't come with any questions or we've got a few guidelines, Carol, which we haven't used any of today.
Yeah, we haven't used any of them, and as we say, it's like we like to feel we're sitting around the coffee table or the tea table and having a coffee and a chat, and that's the way we look at a Vision of Angels, because we find it's easier for us, it's easier for the guests, and it's more enlightening because we talk about things that really matter and really touch the heart, and we can get to the right places a lot easier than asking set questions.
Yeah. So we don't interview, we have conscious conversations, which Angel Heart Radio is known for everywhere. Which is fabulous.
There have been some doozies.
So it's great, isn't it? So Amy, we like to give our guests takeaways, things that have inspired us on the show. And I always go first. So Carol, how about you go first today? But don't you take any.
Oh, good, because
I'm telling you right, I know you're going to take mine. I know you are.
We always pick up the same thing, and then Anaya will say what her takeaways are. I was like, oh, well, that's what I was going to say.
That's what I'm like today.
I'm going first today.
You go first, Carol.
I absolutely loved when you said that you asked the angels to reflect the truth of your heart and not your ego. That is such an important point, and I think that is just a big tick for you, Amy, that you do that, and we all need to do that, because sometimes we can just, in our heart, we know what the situation should be and what we could do, but that's obviously not the way, because then if we're following our ego, it's not the right thing for us. So we need to reflect the truth of our heart. And I also like the fact of the mirror, and the fact that you had the mirror and then you came down and it was like, yeah, I love the way you described the mirror. I can't describe it the same way you did, but I love the way that you described. This is why you need to write this book, Amy.
I guess I do. I guess I do.
So it's been great talking to you today. I loved
That's
it.
lovely, Carol. Thank you.
So for me, one of the really, all of the above, Carol, but one of the things that really just grabbed me so much was when you said to Archangel Uriel, okay, Uriel, I'm really struggling at the moment, but if I have to take one step today, what's the best step for my overall growth and well-being? That to me is brilliant, because I have a Gemini rising. I'm Pisces with a Gemini rising and an Aries moon. My Gemini rising wants to push me in all sorts of directions to overdo, overthink, overcompensate, complain, procrastinate. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
And so instead of running around like a headless chalk, that's a really great, just come down into that moment. Uriel, what's the best step for me right now? And that's the only step I need to take.
Yeah.
And it's giving myself that permission to be okay with taking one step. And if I run around madly all day, that's okay. That's empowerment. So I love that. Loved it. One of the other things, like Carol with the mirror, it was so fantastic, because that's the second thing you've said today, which mirrors very closely what the angels have said to me. They said, when they're speaking about children, they're talking about us as children of the Creator of God.
Yeah.
All children need to see love and acceptance reflected in the eyes of another. And it just,
Isn't that true?
So
how beautiful is that?
It is.
And it's exactly what you were saying with the mirror. And then we turn around and we reflect that. We become the light for somebody else, and not through an ego channel either. Not because I can do this. It's because it's the true, for me, it's what I'm learning about the true meaning of what it means to be graciously humble.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's the gentle, loving, compassionate wisdom that we all carry within us, and yet so often refuse to even acknowledge the possibility of its existence.
Yeah.
That was very powerful for me, and I loved that, and I love you, and I'm so grateful that we've had this opportunity to share your wisdom with our audience.
Thank you.
Today.
I hope it's been meaningful to people who are out there.
I know it has.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, I didn't ask you at the top of the hour because I assumed you don't have a website, do you, Amy?
I do. I have one, but it's for something utterly unrelated. And
all right, well, let us know when you go in that direction. And
I'm considering a lot of directions that involve websites and blogging and things like that. So
wonderful.
I will keep you informed.
Thank you, Amy, so much. It's been just wonderful, inspiring.
It has been
fun. It's been great, hasn't it?
Totally fun. I loved it. Thank you. It was marvelous. I wish I could hop over and have tea with you guys later. It was really, really great.
We'll make a date. We'll make a date. So
one of these days I will show up there. I guarantee it.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thank you.
And it's
been wonderful.
Carol and I have that wonderful blessing of living close to each other, so we often hop over to each other's place, and it's really cool, isn't it, Carol? It's so fun.
It's been great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's been
Wonderful.
really great.
Okay, and you've been great, everyone. Thanks so very much for being a part of this, and we appreciate every bit of love you put it out there and in. Got to put it in. Got to go there first. And thank you for everyone who shares these wonderful inspired conversations. It really does mean a lot to us. We're really grateful for that. Again, Carol is carolsangelwings.com. I'm angellight777.com. And we've got beautiful guests coming up on the 1st and 4th. See, Carol, I got it right.
You did.
I did it. The first, I'm so professional with this. The 1st and 4th Fridays in the US. Hang on a second. That's going to be different now, Carol, because that's the podcast. Oh, stay tuned, everyone. The podcast airs the 1st and the 4th Fridays in the USA at 7 p.m. Central, which is Saturday at 10 a.m. for us here in Brisbane. But we're going to be able to do these Facebook Lives so easily and so often. So we are going to probably do these on a Friday, but we'll let you know for sure. And so, you know, hang out on our Angel Heart Radio Facebook page. You know, get involved in all the good stuff. Let us know what you like. Let us know if there's something you didn't like. Nice.
We love getting your feedback. So keep us informed on what you would like and who you would like us to have a conversation with. Yeah. And to have your feedback is really, really great. We do love it. So
sure. Absolutely.
And I love you, Amy, and it's been a delight talking to you today. Really, really.
Talk soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much, guys.
Lots of love. Thanks, Carol. I'll be ringing you up.
Okay.
It's been fabulous. Thanks, everyone. Lots of love. Bye for now.
Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Bye.